Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, I'm here to talk about the press conference that happened yesterday between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And first of all, I just want to apologize that I have not been posting as much lately, but I promise I will be posting more probably within these next couple of weeks. Not always just about boxing as well, but also sometimes about other sports. So, go ahead and keep a lookout for that if y'all are interested. But when it comes down to it overall, I will be posting more about boxing lately because there is going to be a couple of fights that happen within these next couple of weeks. And there is going to be some great fights that also happen in the month of July, whether they be UFC fights or whether they be boxing fights. And for those of us overall that watch the sport of boxing, we know that there's a very big fight, a trilogy match that is going to be happening on July 24th between Deontay, the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury, which should be a very, very interesting match. We'll see how it goes down. Anyway, I wanted to see what Dante's Boxing Nation overall, I wanted to see overall what he had to say about it, and let's tune in.
I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I'd like to thank my amazing team, and I'd like to thank my strong legal team as well. Look, enough said. Time to cut off his head. It comes July the 24th, there will be bloodshed. Get your tickets now. I'll see you soon.
This dude thinks he's Muhammad Ali. Some of these dudes overall try so hard to act like Muhammad Ali with this rhyme shit when it comes down to it. Deontay Wilder truly believes that he's the Muhammad Ali of this era. Anyway, and you know what? So do his fans when it comes down to it. That's why they love him so much. I've already told people this. This is much more than just a regular fight to them, obviously. But when it comes down to it, they don't just look at Deontay Wilder like some fighter. They look at Deontay Wilder like a Muhammad Ali type of figure. Not only in terms, at least in their opinion, of how great Deontay Wilder is, which of course he's not on the Muhammad Ali level. But when it comes down to it overall, actually, and a lot of people are not going to agree with me on this, the Muhammad Ali of this generation so far, in terms of the heavyweight division, actually has been Mr. Tyson Fury. And a certain amount of people are not going to agree with that when we talk about who is the best heavyweight of their era. Deontay Wilder is not the best heavyweight of his era. And if we're going to go there, and a certain amount of people may disagree, Deontay Wilder is probably the fourth best heavyweight of his era. A certain amount of people will not agree. But that's just how things are rolling right now. You probably have Tyson Fury, who's at the number one spot. And then when you talk about the number two spot for that generation, I think you would either have Anthony Joshua or Vladimir Klitschko, one of the two. And then at the number four spot, you would have to have Deontay Wilder because there's no other fighters that I would put above him other than those three over Deontay Wilder because of what he's accomplished. But I just can't put Deontay Wilder above any of those other fighters because I don't think Deontay has necessarily accomplished what those guys have accomplished. And I know a certain amount of people are going to get on my ass and they're going to talk about the title defenses and all that other stuff. That's great. But let's take a look at Gennady Golovkin, for example. Gennady Golovkin, even though he is a very decently skilled fighter in my opinion, he has the most amount of middleweight title defenses, I believe, in boxing history. Does that mean that you're going to put him on the same level as a Bernard Hopkins or on the same level as some of these other fighters who have a better resume? Of course not. It is what it is. That's the bottom line.
Good afternoon, everybody. Morning. Don't know what time it is. Afternoon. Firstly, I'd like to say congratulations to Deontay Wilder for finding his Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ. Before the last fight, he was comparing gods, and we know my God won, so congratulations. And after all this bloodshed stuff, not so certain. Heard it all before, to be fair. Said all this last time. Decapitation and bloodshed and all that. And we all know what went down there, so, I'm sure there's a lot of people got a lot of questions and they want to know certain facts, including myself. So, I'll leave the questions open to the floor. Keep it short and simple from me. Thank you very much.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So I told you in a video I just did that this would be one of the most unique press conferences you guys have ever seen, and it was just that.
It certainly was, because Deontay Wilder was not talking whatsoever, which is very interesting, Do I believe overall that Deontay Wilder should have talked at the press conference? That's his business if he wants to talk or not talk, but I just found it interesting how Deontay Wilder, he did not bring up the cheating allegations one time at the press conference because he did not even have the courage to talk at the press conference, which is so interesting. Once again, I don't necessarily have a very big problem with someone not talking at a press conference. But you would think overall Deontay Wilder, who allegedly, at least this is according to Deontay Wilder's fans and Deontay Wilder himself, who is allegedly a believer in Tyson Fury cheating, you think that he would confront Tyson Fury to his face about these allegations. I remember when Miguel Cotto, when he had that rematch with Antonio Margarito and they had that little sit down, I believe with Max Kellerman. And Miguel Cotto confronted Antonio Margarito to his face. But Deontay Wilder did not even have the courage to speak on this yesterday. Once again, I'm not really sure how much Deontay Wilder truly believes in these narratives. But it is what it is. And to be honest with you, this is just my personal opinion. It looks like Deontay Wilder wasn't willing to speak or wasn't willing to hear yesterday because he's so worried about Tyson Fury possibly getting in his head. But we'll see what happens. But I don't necessarily have a huge problem with that. Deontay Wilder seems to be laser focused, and I have no problem with that. If he doesn't want to debate in the mental games, there's no problem with that. But right now, in my opinion, like I said, for someone overall who 100% believes in these cheating allegations, I find it interesting how he did not mention them whatsoever. But it is what it is. Who knows? Maybe he'll mention it at the next press conference. I don't know. But we'll see what happens.
What Tyson Fury did with his gloves in the second fight, I really wanted to know how Deontay Wilder was going to react when he seen Tyson Fury at this press conference.
Which he didn't do anything. Interesting.
And he decided to completely ignore him and tune out him and any questions about the fight. Something that we've never seen Deontay Wilder do. Wilder, he said everything he needed to say when he took the podium. And now he feels there's nothing else to say. Now, Tyson Fury, he said that Deontay Wilder wasn't selling the fight because he wasn't talking. But once Deontay Wilder said it's off with this man's head and there will be bloodshed, he already sold the fight. I mean, don't give it a twist.
Now, I wonder overall if the roles were reversed. If it was Tyson Fury yesterday that was not saying anything, and overall he just put headphones over his ears, and overall he did not say anything during the press conference, I wonder overall what Dante would say. I'm betting you money that he would say, well, Tyson Fury doesn't look nearly as confident as he needs to, and overall, it's not looking good for Tyson Fury. I can bet you money overall that's what a lot of them tried to say. Or would have been trying to say had Tyson Fury done that and the roles had been reversed. But it is what it is. Personally, once again, what does this mean for me? The fact that Deontay Wilder was not confronting Tyson Fury? Well, it can mean a multitude of things. Could it mean that Tyson Fury already is in his head? It could mean that. It also could just mean that he's laser focused. So I don't really necessarily have a huge problem. But once again, for someone that apparently, like I said, allegedly believes in these allegations, you would think that he would have brought him up at least once yesterday. I don't believe either Malik Scott or Deontay Wilder brought up any of these allegations yesterday to the public, which is interesting. But anyway.
That the fight was sold before the press conference even started. That's why this is one of the biggest press conferences in quite some time. You heard Bob Arum say that this fight is already doing better than the first two fights, just in terms of ticket sales. So this just may be the biggest fight of the year. It may even be bigger than Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao. We also seen the longest stare-off, speaking of a unique press conference, lasting over 6 minutes. There was a couple things said in this press conference that was pretty interesting. Like when Tyson Fury said that he's going to go up to 300 pounds so that he could really knock out Deontay Wilder. And I think
Tyson Fury did say that. He did say overall that he was going to go up to 300 pounds. That way he would have one punch knockout power. I'm not sure if Tyson Fury ever is going to have one punch knockout power. But if he does go all the way at the 300 pounds, who knows? And let me say this. I wouldn't say overall that it would be maybe a very good idea to go up to 300 pounds. But that's Tyson Fury's decision. Maybe he'll come in at about 385, maybe 390. Maybe 380, or maybe he'll come in at the exact weight that he did last time. But the last time when Fury said overall that he was gaining weight, a lot of people thought that it was a bad idea. He came in at 270, around there, and he ended up doing very well at that weight. And Tyson Fury, He's just a guy overall that he can carry a bunch of that weight and usually still have a pretty good gas tank. So even if Tyson Fury were to gain 300 pounds, or not gain 300 pounds, but if he were to gain weight to the point to where he would weigh 300 pounds, I actually, may not see that as much of a big deal, even though I would recommend against it. But it is what it is. We'll see what he does.
He's serious. I think he wants to wear down and maul Deontay Wilder to death in this fight. He wants to make up for Deontay Wilder's right hand with his weight, with his natural weight. I don't know if he'll be 300 on a dot, maybe 285, maybe 290, but it definitely sounds like he wants a massive weight advantage. I personally don't think it matters how much Tyson Fury weighs in this fight. He has definitely woken up a sleeping dragon when it comes to Deontay Wilder. We are definitely going to see the best Wilder we've ever seen.
We'll see about that. Once again, I think that that's a little bit of wishful thinking. Now, does Deontay Wilder once again have to believe overall that, he's going to be the best version of himself? Of course. I'm not trying to say overall, I'm not trying to tear anybody down or anything like that. But once again, let's be logical, let's be objective about this. How many fighters have we seen have corner changes and coach changes, or overall try to change their style up, and they look like the exact same fighter as they did in the prior fight? So once again, let's be a little bit logical and objective about this, and keep in mind that Tyson Fury, he is an A-grade fighter, and he is the most difficult matchup probably for Deontay Wilder out there. So like I said, a lot of people, they're saying that they expect the best version of Deontay Wilder or a completely new and different version of Deontay Wilder. I'm not sure if I see that. Now, that's not me saying overall that it can't happen, but is it likely? No, I wouldn't say that it's likely. And we might see Deontay Wilder overall out there again, and we might see the exact same Deontay Wilder. We may even see a worse version of Deontay Wilder just because he's trying some things that he never really has tried before. So we'll see what happens. I wish the best for Deontay. I don't wish the worst against anybody. But when it comes down to the overall, do I see the odds in his favor? Not at the moment. But we'll see what happens.
For sure. Tyson Fury's trainer said the difference from the second fight and going into the third fight, Tyson Fury has one-punch knockout power. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. You're not going to just all of a sudden in one training camp just have this type of right hand that Deontay Wilder has.
Well, I don't think that he was trying to say that Tyson Fury has a right hand that Deontay Wilder has. I think overall that he was saying is that maybe Tyson has more power. And maybe he has gained a little bit of muscle. Maybe overall he has gained a little bit of weight. Maybe overall it will create a little bit more power in his punches. Who the hell knows? But when it comes down to it, I expect Tyson Fury to have around the same power. Could be a little bit more overall than what he did in the second fight, depending on how much he weighs going into the fight. But we'll see what happens.
That's basically what he's saying. Tyson Fury has never been known for power. He's never been a power puncher. In fact...
Well, that's a big part of the narrative that you guys have been trying to spread. Now, has Tyson Fury ever been known as a major puncher? No, he's never been known as a major puncher. But he's been known as someone overall who can crack at least a little bit. Once again, these people try to act like Tyson Fury was this Paulie Malignaggi or Sergio Mora type figure until the second Deontay Wilder fight. Tyson Fury, with 30-some fights on his resume, has 20-something knockouts. It's not like he's a pillow-fisted fighter, once again, like a Paulie Malignaggi or something like that, or a Sergio Mora. He can punch. Tyson Fury has hurt certain people. He's knocked out certain people. And he was even able to hurt Deontay Wilder in the first fight a multitude of times. So it is what it is. Anyway.
The only time we ever seen him really get knockouts like that was when he had gloves that looked like this.
Well, that's not true because he ended up knocking out Derek Chisora in the second fight, I believe. Who does not get stopped very often. I believe. Now, he has got stopped a couple of times in his career. I believe he ended up getting stopped against David Haye and stopped against Tyson Fury in the rematch and maybe stopped against someone else. But Derek Chisora still is a pretty tough fighter. On top of that, Tyson Fury has a few other knockouts in his career. He just overall never usually had a knockout over an A-grade fighter like he had against Deontay Wilder in the rematch. But was I surprised that the knockout happened? I wasn't surprised that it happened because Tyson Fury can punch a little bit. He was coming in at 270 pounds. And on top of that, Deontay Wilder's just not that very good defensively. So it is what it is. And it's not impossible to hurt Deontay Wilder. A lot of these, Deontay Wilder fans, they try to spread this narrative that Deontay Wilder has this granite chin. I'm not saying that he does not have a good chin, because he can take a punch, but the thing is that it is not impossible to hurt Deontay Wilder. Go ahead and check out his fights against Dominic Breazeale, Eric Molina, Luis Ortiz, all those guys. He is available to get hurt. All right, you can see that he got hurt against all those fighters, even against Tyson Fury in the first fight, where Tyson Fury was not really going down on a lot of his punches. He kind of was going a little bit lighter on his punches. But in the second fight, Tyson Fury really was putting a lot more thrust into those punches. So it is what it is. Anyway.
Can't guarantee who wins this fight, but I can guarantee Tyson Fury gloves won't look like this in the...
You can't guarantee who wins the third fight. Why is that, Dante? Why can't you guarantee overall who wins this third fight? Why can't you guarantee who wins this third fight, Dante? Because according to you, Tyson Fury, he's not going to be able to cheat this time, and Tyson Fury has never been known for power. Tyson Fury overall is a Paulie Malignaggi of the heavyweight division, apparently, without that type of power. So why is it a mystery overall who's going to win this fight, Dante? Deontay Wilder, according to you, and the narrative over that you've been trying to spread, Deontay Wilder should be able to absolutely destroy Tyson Fury, because as we know, Tyson Fury has no power without cheating, and overall, Deontay, he's just going to be able to walk him down. Once again, I've already stated this. When you take a look at that second fight with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, there's a reason why right as soon as Tyson Fury goes at him, Deontay Wilder starts backing up. All right. Once again, no one just walks straight through Tyson Fury's punches. It is what it is. You have to have a little bit of power. Once again, go ahead and take a look at Paulie Malignaggi's fights. If Paulie were to go walk at someone, they don't back up, because Paulie Malignaggi, he has no power in his punches. When it comes down to it, he has no power in his punches whatsoever. There's no one ever in any of his big fights, usually, that backed up away from Paulie Malignaggi because they were afraid of his power. Nobody. Not Ricky Hatton, not Miguel Cotto, not Danny Garcia, not Amir Khan. None of those guys. None of those guys overall backed up from Paulie Malignaggi. But Deontay Wilder, this mega power puncher, all of a sudden Tyson Fury went at him, and Deontay Wilder went stepping back. Why is that? Even before Tyson Fury started hitting him in the second fight, as soon as Tyson Fury went at him, all of a sudden he started backing up. Why is that, if apparently you can just walk through Tyson Fury's punches and he didn't hurt you in the first fight? Anyway.
Third fight. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you look...
And anyways, that's really about it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. This should be a very interesting fight. We'll see what happens. But anyway, I'll give more of my prediction on it probably in the first week of July. I'll probably put my full predictions out there. And that's really about it for today. But thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you all later.